Hello and welcome to Rock Paper Shotgun. My name is Colin Mahern and I'm here to tell you that some noteworthy video games are coming out just as the world starts to open up. But before I get on to all of the lovely games you can play indoors over the next 4 weeks, I will recommend going outside. You know, before lockdown 4 happens. I went to the outside recently and I have to say I came away very impressed. It is things like trees and cows and Fiat Puntos. When you're done with all your socially distanced outdoor fun times, you can go back to the comfort of your uncomfortable desk chair to play some lovely new PC games. You'll have a lot to play over May. Remasters of classics, new entries in beloved franchises, motorbikes. This month has something for everyone. So let's crack on, shall we? Here are the top 10 video games to play on PC in May 2021. While some are frothing at the mouth and probably elsewhere, anticipating myriad cutscenes that see the tall woman driving her Louboutins into every part of protagonist Ethan Winters, the majority of Resi diehards are just hoping that Village will give them the same joy as Resident Evil 4. Everything we've seen of the game pre-release suggests that this is effectively a first-person version of Leon's mission to save the president's daughter. It takes place in a nondescript, creepy European village. The Duke is a substitute for the "what are you buying" fella, and it appears to be one of the more action-focused games in the series. Here's hoping Resi 8's campaign doesn't favour shootouts over scariness too much though. The returning mercenaries mode should give people more than enough opportunity to unload on werewolves, gargoyles and the like. Yes, I said unload. Look, those of you pulling Kenneth Williams carry-on faces right now can come up with saucier gags than I can include in this video VO. So just let your minds go wild, you marvellous deviant bastards, the lot of you. There's only one way to garner goodwill after an Iron Man Destiny experiment fails to catch on. Shine up the old games that people liked and release them in one lovely package. Sure, some will be disappointed by the omission of Mass Effect 3's multiplayer and the Pinnacle Station DLC from the original. But that doesn't change the fact that Mass Effect Legendary Edition is the exact game that BioWare needs right now to get fans back on side. Every game in the trilogy now features improved textures, models and the like, and you can play them at 60 FPS on 4K or ultra-wide monitors. The first Mass Effect will now play more like its two shooterier sequels, and it comes with over 40 bits of DLC. Legendary Edition is the perfect excuse to go back and do the nasty with the universe's sexiest aliens. And also stop the baddies and save the universe and all that. Yes, I know. Biomutant always pops up in those most anticipated games of the year lists. It has done since it was announced back in 2017. A lot of that is probably down to the fact that it's remained this exciting and mostly unknown quantity. I mean, I even got to chat to the game's creative director last year and I came away with as many questions as I did answers. What I do know is that Biomutant is an action RPG wherein the type of mutant kung fu cat squirrel panda thing you bring to life in the character creator will affect your attributes and thus what you're actually able to do in the game. You don't control everything about your little fella though. Certain areas in the world can alter your genetics, which results in you acquiring some sweet psychic abilities. Little is known about the story, but there will apparently be repercussions to what you do and say to the characters you meet. This one is gonna be a beast. My fingers and toes are crossed that this one lives up to the hype. By the time Days Gone originally launched on the PS4, Sons of Anarchy had been off the telly for 5 years. So the motorbiking adventure of protagonist Deacon St. John felt dated. And yes, that is this man's name. In the 2 years since, things haven't really changed. However, rather than slash at the already punctured reputation of Sony's former exclusive, let's look at the positives. Days Gone coming to PC means we're one step closer to Bloodborne on PC. Maybe. There are zombies in it, and I'm pretty confident that killing the already dead is an activity enjoyed by many. And while this game doesn't reinvent the open world game wheel, it does in fact have wheels in it. But I suppose I've sort of mentioned that already, haven't I? Look, if you're in the market for a competent B game that allows you to mow down hordes of zombies, you could do worse than Days Gone. Also, it gives you something to do before Bloodborne does come to PC. Again, maybe. After 2 years in early access, Subnautica Below Zero is finally hitting 1.0 this month. Like its predecessor, this game revolves around a researcher that is studying the flora and fauna of an alien planet. But unlike the original Subnautica, this follow-up allows you to explore on land as well as underwater. You'll have to be careful, of course. This is a survival game and it's flippin' Baltic on planet 4546b. So be mindful of catching hypothermia, will you? That is, of course, on top of the usual hunger, thirst, and, you know, the ice worms. Another change in Below Zero is the focus on story. The player character has a voice in this game, so not quite the blank slate seen in the first Subnautica. Time will tell whether all these tweaks result in a sequel that's as successful as the original. When this was revealed back in February, I was convinced it was EA's play for the Rocket League dollar. After I played the beta, I was a little more hopeful it might be its own thing. So, if you don't know, Knockout City is a team-based online arcade sports game where you fire balls at others in the hope of nabbing some glorious points for your team. All pretty straightforward, although what impressed me when I played it a few months ago was that there is a level of skill required here. This is more than your average messy multiplayer offering. You can fake a throw, catch balls in midair, pass to teammates. Success appears to depend on you and your pals actually working together as a unit. I'm cautiously optimistic about Knockout City. And wonderfully, it's going to be available at launch via Xbox Game Pass for PC, so definitely worth a punt if you're already a subscriber. Sure, the Shin Megami Tensei and Persona games are being ported over in a funky order, but the fact these remasters are coming to PC at all bodes well for those of us that want to play new entries while sitting at our desks. But before we will Persona 6 or SMT 5 onto our SSDs, there is the small matter of Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne HD Remaster. It retains everything that fans loved about the original PS2 release, the demons, the atmosphere, the art style, but with the good comes the contentious, as this remaster also has the overly difficult turn-based battles that were in the original. So in an effort to nip that in the bud this time round, Nocturne HD introduces an easier difficulty mode and the option to save whenever you like. Hopefully these quality of life improvements, on top of a shinier version of SMT 3, result in a video game that both old and new fans can enjoy. In online multiplayer game Hood, Outlaws and Legends, your goal is to steal from the rich. A delightful premise, but infiltrating a stronghold and breaking into a vault isn't going to be easy. As well as having to contend with AI guards, you'll be trying to pull off your heist at the same time as another team of 4 players. You should get in and out relatively unscathed if your operation runs flawlessly, of course. Although matches can devolve into chaos if you run into the other team on your way to the extraction point. But that's also when you get to flex the muscle of Rob and his merry band of mates. As you'd imagine, the eponymous hero is a quality arrow flinger. Maid Marian specialises in Ezio-like assassin skills. Little John is a hammer-swinging king. And Friar Tuck can heal your squad when things get heated. If Hood, Outlaws and Legends can deliver on its promise, this PvEVP game could turn out to be one of the better games out this May. Yes, I know, it does look a lot like Sea of Thieves. There's a fair amount of pirating in it too, like what you do in Rare's game, and the names of both are also pretty similar. But 18 army shooty bang bangs are released every year, so I welcome more games that encourage buccaneering over war criming. Anyway, King of Seas is very much its own thing. Firstly, it's single player, so you can't rely on your pal Brian to save your ass during naval tussles. It takes place in a procedurally generated world, and it has a main story that hopefully ends with another character saying, well, after defeating that final boss, you can now 100% call yourself the King of Seas. Regardless of this game's closing line, you should keep an eye on it if you're looking for more interactive swashbuckling adventures. This one is definitely the most relaxed game on this list. You're not running away from some giant lady or trying to save and the universe at the same time. Instead, The Longest Road on Earth sees you playing through 4 short stories that explore events that are a little more ordinary rather than extraordinary. That doesn't mean you'll be spending your time reading dialogue or listening to back and forths between characters though. The developer has said they've gone for a wordless game to allow players interpret the stories of The Longest Road on Earth however they like. In fact, the main thing you'll hear in the game is the original soundtrack, which has been written by one of the game's developers. Given the bombast of most games out this May, this game might be worth wishlisting for those seeking a little calm. Whatever you end up playing over May, I hope you have a lovely time with it. But do tell, what new games are you looking forward to getting your hands on this month? Want to see if Resi 8's other villains make you fear for your life in a sexy kind of way? Eager to get your hands on Biomutant so you can create an arse-kicking monster cat? Or are you keen to see if the Mako from the original Mass Effect still drives like your old Punto? Let us know in the comments. As always, thank you very much for watching, you absolute star. But if you're going to come away from this video knowing one thing, know this. For all of your PC gaming needs, keep it on rockpapershotgun.com.